Welcome back to another episode of the Mormon News Roundup. Today we're diving into the legacy of one of the most controversial figures in Mormon history, the late M. Russell Ballard. As a high-ranking apostle, Ballard's actions and remarks have sparked outrage and raised serious questions about his integrity and leadership. From shady financial dealings to controversial statements about women, marriage, and diversity, his tenure has been riddled with troubling moments. In this explosive episode, we're going to break down the top 10 worst moments in Ballard's career, including his role in the Mormon Church's financial scandals and his problematic association with disgraced figures like Tim Ballard. Whether it's his off-the-cuff remarks at General Conference or his cryptic and laughable defense of church transparency during a Q&A, Ballard's time in power leaves much to be questioned. Get ready for a no-holds-barred discussion as we revisit these critical moments and uncover the true story behind one of Mormonism's most polarizing figures. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more in-depth coverage. Let's go.
Welcome to the Mormon News Roundup, your go-to source for the latest headlines and critical analysis on all things LDS.
Breaking news.
Join D-Vay's
Mormon News Roundup.
That's talent on loan from Kolob every Sunday and Monday night.
We will uncover the truth behind the news that matters most to the Mormon community.
The late M. Russell Ballard, a high-ranking Mormon apostle, leaves behind a controversial legacy. From his early days, marred by an SEC revocation of his penny stock trading credentials, to his alleged role in pressuring Latter-day Saints to donate millions of dollars to Tim Ballard, who is a total disgraced figure, all of this raises serious questions about his ethics and leadership. Let's not forget that Ballard was acting president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles and was in a senior leadership position when the Mormon Church was fined $5 million by the SEC for illegally concealing billions in assets. Additionally, Ballard's tenure highlighted the church's minimal humanitarian contributions compared to its immense wealth, amplifying critiques of misplaced priorities. And despite all of these controversies, Ballard was never held accountable for his questionable actions. If this is supposed to represent a special witness of Jesus, it may be time to reconsider what that title really means. The late M. Russell Ballard, a high-ranking Mormon apostle, has a controversial history. His business practices have raised questions, including a past SEC revocation of his credentials for questionable practices in penny stock trading. There are credible reports of him pressuring faithful Latter-day Saints to donate millions of dollars to Tim Ballard, a figure later disgraced in the child rescuing industry. Throughout the decades, Ballard has also stood by as the Mormon Church did relatively little in the humanitarian sector, sparking criticism for its lack of impactful efforts to alleviate human suffering. As acting president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, Ballard was in a leadership position when the Mormon Church was fined by the federal government for improperly concealing billions in assets. And Melvin was never held accountable for any of his sketchy actions. If this is what constitutes a special witness of Jesus, I will take a rain check.
No thanks, I'll take a rain check on it.
In this next video, we're going to dive into more controversial comments from M. Russell Ballard, where he advised women that they needed to enhance their appearance by putting on a little lipstick. And he shared some really backwards thoughts about the importance of getting married. Let's take a look at these deeply sexist remarks and examine how they sparked outrage within the LDS community, all within a broader conversation about gender roles within Mormonism.
Every time we look at you, you're just waiting for me to talk about marriage, aren't you?
I don't want to get married.
I really, really, really don't want to get married.
I would not want to disappoint you.
It's too late for that. Way too late.
I just simply say to you, brethren, wake up.
Wake up!
Open your eyes and look around a little.
Like buffet style.
You beautiful girls. Girl. Don't wander around looking like men.
You look like a man.
Right out, right?
Put on a little lipstick now and then and look a little charming.
Lipstick? Lipstick.
It's that simple.
That's sexist. You're sexist.
I don't know why we make this whole process so hard.
That's what she said. That's what she said.
Next up is a leaked video from M. Russell Ballard brought to us by Mormon Leaks, in which he's going to talk about the diversity within the Mormon Church. While Ballard emphasizes a commitment to inclusivity, we're going to take a closer look at the reality. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints remains predominantly white, especially at the top church leadership levels.
From when I was in Toronto to being up there a year and a half ago, it's like You can't believe the change of the congregation. It's like the United Nations up there. We held a stake conference and I couldn't believe what I was looking at.
We pride ourselves on our diversity.
That's the way we're going to get to a lot of those nations.
Dude, you're a white racist.
I don't think they have a problem being assimilated in that.
Assimilate this.
Maybe it's Utah where we got to work.
Utah.
We hear some stories of people coming to church and then being asked questions that reflect ignorance on the part of the member.
Are you white?
Maybe we're asking the wrong question.
Please, don't.
Maybe what we should be asking is, why did the whites and other races have to wait until 1829?
During a 2017 face-to-face Q&A session, Ballard laughably claims that the Mormon Church is as transparent as it knows how to be. However, this statement is far from accurate when examining the church's actual transparency record. Now, while Ballard suggests a certain kind of openness, the church has consistently withheld or obscured critical information on issues like its vast wealth, financial dealings, historical controversies, and political involvement. Instead of providing any kind of clear answers, LDS Church leaders often resort to vague statements, broad generalities, with a pattern of intentional opacity rather than any type of transparency.
Saying that the church has been hiding the fact that there is more than one version of the first vision, which is just not true. The facts are we don't study, we don't go back and search what has been said on the subject. For example, Dr. James B. Allen of the BYU in 1970, he produced an article for the church magazines explaining all about the different versions of the first vision.
How long ago was that article?
1970. That was back in 1970. So
been hiding that for a long time.
Yeah. But this idea that the church is hiding something, which we would have to say as two apostles who have covered the world and know the history of the church and know the integrity of the first presidency and the quorum of the 12 from the beginning of time. There has been no attempt on the part in any way of the church leaders trying to hide anything from anybody. Now we've had the Joseph Smith papers. We didn't have those where they were in our hands now, and so we're learning more about the prophet Joseph. It's wonderful we are. There's volumes of it. There's so much of in those books now in my bookshelf. Maybe you've read them all, but I haven't got them. I'm a slow reader.
That much.
So just trust us wherever you are in the world, and you share this message with anyone else who raises the question about the church not being transparent. We're as transparent as we know how to be in telling the truth. We have to do that. That's the Lord's way.
So John, just trust us. That's the Lord's way. We're as transparent as we know how to be, and we've never hid anything from anyone.
The biggest problem with lies and liars is most of the time the liars believe their own lies. What they're doing is called dissembly, which is an act of saying things that are all factually true. I mean, Oakes there was on the Supreme Court. He knows how to play the game. And they can say things that are technically factually true, but the whole thing is a lie, and they know it's a lie. One of my points I made earlier, maybe they don't. Oakes does. Oakes knows he's lying. Ballard may not. He may not have spent any time studying the history of the church. He may not know that there's multiple first accounts. He may have only ever read apologetic responses that are full of the same kind of distortions and half-truths and lies. This is why in court you say, I'm going to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And the church does not appeal to, they don't rely on those standards. They might tell the truth, but they sure as don't tell the whole truth, and they sure don't tell nothing but the truth, because these guys are more than happy to let half the membership believe that they're like talking to Jesus every day. And if they were honest men, they would come forth and say, you know what, that doesn't happen. That's not real. It's not the way this works.
In his now infamous 2016 General Conference talk, Elder Ballard posed a very interesting question. He asked, where will you go? What will you do? And I guess it was meant to encourage members to stay faithful to the church. However, for many who have left the Mormon faith, this question has taken on an entirely new meaning, becoming an anthem of liberation. For those who have stepped outside the restricted boundaries of Mormonism, leaving is not a loss, but a joyful reclaiming of personal freedom, critical thinking, and genuine happiness. Ironically, Ballard's words have now become a symbol of the fulfilling journey of people leaving Mormonism, and how so many people have found a fulfilling life outside of the confines of a strict, high-demand religion. So let's check out a video response to Ballard's insightful questions, brought to us by Napoleon Dynamite.
If you choose to become inactive or to leave the restored Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, where will you go? What will you do?
Whatever I feel like I want to do. Gosh!
In a 2017 statement, Ballard suggested that women in the church shouldn't talk too much and should always allow men to have the final say. This unapologetically patriarchal remark highlights the deeply ingrained gender inequality within the church, where senior leadership positions and decision-making are roles that are only held by men. Despite claims of equality, the reality is that women are generally excluded from the highest levels of authority and are usually relegated to supporting roles within the organization. Ballard's sexist statement serves as a stark reminder. There's a systemic inequality within the church that continues to shape the experiences of women within the faith.
The women of this church, we need you. We need your voices.
Yeah.
They need to be heard.
Yes, sir.
They need to be heard in your community,
Uh-huh.
in your neighborhoods. They need to be heard within the ward
Good.
council
Yes.
or the branch council.
I'm with you.
Don't
What?
talk too much in those council meetings.
Wait a minute.
Just straighten the brethren out quickly
Huh?
and move the work on.
Rebecca, your voice is really needed in all sorts of ways, but just kind of don't talk too much, if you know what I mean.
She's muted again.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's perfect.
I did that on purpose to make a point. That is what they want. That is absolutely what they want. Yep.
That was perfect. You guys are
good,
on
huh?
this one. We're on the right show for sure.
I know
Okay.
somebody questioned us about our tagline. You mentioned that in the last segment, living a joyful life. They're like, you seem like you're getting more stressed out and angrier.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
But
Okay.
we're joyful about it, gosh darn it. We're joyful while we're doing it, okay?
In our number 4 worst Elder Ballard moment of all time, we're going to watch the late apostle tackle a thought-provoking question. Is the LDS Church a cult? His incongruous response raises eyebrows and has sparked a great deal of debate, seemingly at odds with many people's lived experiences. And the creme de la creme is when Ballard says that evidence for the Book of Mormon isn't even needed, which is awfully convenient because I'm not aware of any evidence for the Book of Mormon.
I think it's a matter of misunderstanding. I think it's a matter of characterization that has grown up over the generations of time. And let me explain to you what the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints really is. We will begin by those common basis that we all Christians accept, that Jesus is the Christ, He is the Son of God, He's our Savior, He's our Redeemer, and we love Him. But there has now been additional information, additional scripture, additional guidance has now been given to us through the restoration. Let me tell you what that is. My experience all over the world is people are willing to sit down and listen. They may not believe or accept, but they embrace the fact, you have your belief, I have mine. I now know you're not a cult. You are as believing in Jesus as the Christ, the Savior of the world, as anybody I've ever talked to.
When M. Russell Ballard gave an unscripted address at the 193rd Semi-Annual General Conference of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, he seemed to have mixed up 2 different accounts of Joseph Smith's first vision. This regrettable incident highlights the dangers of going off-script in the tightly controlled religious institution.
M. Russell Ballard went off script at General Conference because he is no longer able to read from the teleprompter.
I went and saw the eye doctor and I said, I can't see the teleprompter. He said, well, your eyes are old and they're not going to change, so I'll do the best I can.
And as rambling as his talk then became, all seemed well, until he let this one little detail slip.
Joseph Smith, a boy, who desired to know what he needed to do to have his sins forgiven, and found the courage to go into a grove of trees near his home.
The version of events given in the Pearl of Great Price is that Joseph went to know what church to join, not that he went for a remission of sins. That little detail is from an earlier account, to which M. Russell Ballard is referring. Is this the first time a version of the first vision, other than the one found in the Pearl of Great Price, has been referred to in General Conference? If that's the case, given the Gospel Topics essays and the multiple first vision accounts weren't exactly headline news for the church at any point, I think we're going to see some very confused members out there.
Our number 2 worst Melvin Ballard moment of all time is the fact that he had a close relationship with the disgraced child rescuer, Tim Ballard, which raises serious moral and ethical concerns. Despite serious allegations against Tim Ballard for both financial misconduct and sexual harassment and even assault, M. Russell Ballard not only associated with Tim Ballard, but actively promoted his work. Why would a high-ranking apostle align himself with Tim Ballard, unless the apostle was either complicit in the deception or recklessly uninformed? This scandal has further eroded the confidence of many members in LDS leadership.
New motion filed in the Tim Ballard case over allegations over the suspected relationship between him and the late President M. Russell Ballard. ABC4's Annika Johns has been diving into the new filings today. Annika, what can you tell us about this?
Well, Brian, in this new filing, which was filed by the attorneys representing multiple women who have made allegations against Tim Ballard, it adds more information regarding alleged relationships between the two Ballards. Now, according to the document, it speaks on discussions the two had about the use of a personal psychic, failure to report rapes, and the potential removal of the church's word of wisdom. It's hard to sift through, with 203 pages detailing allegations made against Tim Ballard. And over the weekend, a new motion was filed asking for a hearing to allow more details to be entered into the case regarding an alleged relationship between him and the late church leader Russell M. Ballard. Starting on line 69, this document dives deeper into the suspected relationship the two Ballards had. It starts off saying the defendant, Tim Ballard, since college has claimed President Ballard to be a close relative, either an uncle or grandfather, despite there being no family relation between the two. The document continues saying President Ballard was financially rescued by the church, where he was later placed into a leadership position when made an apostle. This document continues to say he attempted to use this position and power to recruit wealthy members of the church to donate towards Tim Ballard's organization. The victims in this lawsuit further state President Ballard used a psychic for readings regarding how he should proceed in life. Documents further claim the psychic was used by Tim Ballard to locate trafficked children. As the document continues, it states President Ballard, Tim Ballard, and others formed a private business called the Slave Stealers that allegedly used President Ballard's son-in-law's offices, where the Ballards and other investors could monetize work OUR was performing. Documents claim that President Ballard sanctioned the couple's ruse, and that he, along with other leaders of the church, asked Tim Ballard to write a book stating the word of wisdom is not true. Now, furthering on with that, prior to President Ballard's passing in November, the church released a statement saying President Ballard and Tim Ballard did have a friendship several years ago, but no longer had one once it became clear Tim Ballard had betrayed their friendship through the unauthorized use of President Ballard's name for Tim Ballard's personal advantage. Now, President Ballard withdrew his association, and President Ballard never authorized his name or the name of the church to be used for Tim's personal or financial interests. Now, in addition, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints never endorsed, supported, or represented OUR, Tim Ballard, or any projects associated with them. Now, we did reach out to the church today regarding these new allegations against the late President Ballard, and they say at this time they will not be releasing a statement.
And our number 1 worst Melvin Ballard moment of all time is the possibility that M. Russell Ballard provided Tim Ballard or Operation Underground Railroad with confidential church tithing records in order to target wealthy Latter-day Saints to give money to Tim Ballard. If true, this represents a staggering abuse of trust, using sacred funds and private confidential information to fuel a fraudster. Whether this was through direct involvement or reckless disregard, M. Russell Ballard's role in this scandal shines a dark light on his legacy.
M. Russell Ballard might be in serious trouble. According to the Salt Lake Tribune, a new filing in a lawsuit against Tim Ballard and Operation Underground Railroad contains a jaw-dropping assertion about a senior leader of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It alleges that Davis County Attorney Troy Rawlings told OUR attorneys he had evidence that senior apostle M. Russell Ballard and/or other church authorities had provided the faith's tithing records to OUR to help the non-profit anti-sex trafficking organization target large donors or wealthy Latter-day Saint congregations. At the moment, it is just an assertion. However, if it is true, then should M. Russell Ballard, on top of any potential legal ramifications, also be released as an apostle? Let me know what you think.
Well, there you have it, folks, the top 10 fails of M. Russell Ballard. As we wrap up this deep dive into the late controversial apostle, one thing is crystal clear. His tenure as a high-ranking leader in the LDS Church was far from unblemished. From financial scandals and opaque dealings to problematic statements on women, marriage, and diversity, Ballard's legacy leaves us with more questions than answers. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more hard-hitting analysis. Always think celestial, and remember, no unhallowed hand can stop the Mormon News Roundup from progressing.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.
Where will you go?
Where do I want to go?
Where will you go?
I don't know, where do you want to go?
Where will you go?
Yeah, wherever I want.
Where will you go?
Stop saying that!
To whom shall you go?
Away from you.
What will you do?
What'll I do?
Where will you go?
I will do what I always do.
To whom shall we go?
Wherever we want.
Pause and think carefully.
Yeah, no thanks.
Leave the old ship Zion.
I'm leaving.
Will ye also go away?
Get away from me.
Where will you go? Where will you go? Where will you go?
Whatever I feel like I want to do. God!